All right, everybody, welcome to the official Amin Luffy uh, One Piece chapter ranking for 2022. These are all the One Piece chapters of 2022 right here, numbered out, and I'm going to be ranking them all, at least on a tier list, of course. And yeah, we're gonna discuss it. Now, I have reacted to all these chapters on my YouTube channel. There are 1036 to 1070. If you do the math, that is indeed 10. Let me see. 1036 to 1070. That should be 1035 chapters, right? Right. That should be 35 chapters this year. I'm pretty sure that it's 35 chapters. You can do the math yourself. But yeah, 35 chapters. You can count them here. I mean, it's easy to count them here. Let's see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 times 3 is 36, minus 1 is 35. So yeah. Okay. 35 chapters. And I just want to say that this list right here, this tier list, has been given. Well, I took it from Arthur, the Library of O'Hara. So shout out to him, of course. Just basically nabbed it. Uh, a lot of people have nabbed it actually to make their own tier list here. So definitely shout out to Arthur. I do not want to claim to be the one to make this tier list at all. I did not make this tier list. I'm just going to be using it to discuss the One Piece chapters of last year. Now I don't mean to make this video too long here, so I'm going to quickly rank them and then give a quick explanation for why and what was good about the chapter and all that stuff. So yeah, I'll be firstly ranking the top 5, which will all be in S tier. So the top 5 will be numbered, but the rest of the chapters will not be numbered. So we're not gonna do a rule where the chapter let's say the chapter on the A right here on the most. I can't explain myself, but let's say I have 1038 as an A tier chapter and 1043 also as an A tier chapter. Just because 1038 is on the left does not mean it's better than 1043. This is only going to be true for the 5 S tier chapters on the top. Now, I'm personally pretty confident on what my favorite chapter of the year was for 2022. Um, I'm fairly confident that is the chapter that is my number one. That is not just the best chapter of last year, in my opinion, but also one of the best chapters in the entire series during its entire 25 year run so far for One Piece. This chapter that I have at number one for last year, 2022, is probably in my top 5 best chapters in all of One Piece. So it's an amazing chapter basically. So yeah, we'll get into top 5 first. We'll discuss them a little bit, and then we shall talk about the rest of the chapters. I guess we can go chronologically when it comes to the rest of the chapters. But for the top 5 chapters, we will not go chronologically. We will start off with my 5th favorite chapter of the year. Now, choosing a top 5, just top 5 chapters of the year, and just choosing just 5, it was incredibly hard. Okay, I just want to say that right now. It was so difficult. There are so many chapters that honestly deserve an honorable. Just take the entire S tier ranks as just honorable mentions for top 5 chapters because the, I I chose 5 of my favorite chapters really quickly. I try not to think too hard about it because I know I would hesitate and then switch things around and all that stuff. So I just chose 5 chapters that I loved and I remember really, really loving. And yeah, I may have to skim back through specific chapters. Like I don't know exactly. I used 1038 as an example earlier. I don't actually exactly remember what happened in 1038. So may I have to skim through the chapter to remind myself of what the contents of the actual chapter was, because I don't go around memorizing what happened in exactly every single chapter of the year, even though I have read every single chapter. So yeah, we'll start off with my 5th favorite chapter of the year, and this chapter for me is 1069, right? This is my 5th favorite chapter of the year, so this goes in S tier. This is the chapter where, oh yeah, by the way, before we start, I was about to tell you what happened during that chapter. One Piece manga spoilers. That should be a warning that I gave you from the very beginning. The art itself in these covers already reveal enough spoilers, but definitely One Piece spoilers. If you haven't been reading or if you're not caught up with One Piece, do not watch this video. Click off right now. I have warned you now. I was about to talk about the chapters without giving you a One Piece spoiler warning. So if you're not caught up, or at least if you're not caught up with the 2022 chapters, click off. I highly don't recommend you watch this. Just go on reading your One Piece, and when you catch up, you can come back and watch this. All right, now that I've given a fairly decent warning, I hope we can get to the chapter. So this is the chapter where Luffy goes Nika for the second time. Right, he goes Nikoma for the second time. Something that I was not expecting to happen so soon. I knew maybe a scuffle would happen between Luffy and Lucci, right? Or the tensions were there, but for him to go Gear 5 another time, I did not see coming, and Luffy was still going ham. And we got a replica of, or is obviously hinting as to the first fight between Luffy and Lucci back in Enies Lobby, uh, when they punched each other like this. You know, they both had their fists against each other, and then they you know the shock of punching each other caused them both to crash to the side. Oda replicated that scene. Definitely a nice callback. Um, we also learned that there's no such thing as a gum gum fruit, right? Is in that Luffy's a white warrior, and this thing about desires, right? That those fruits come from people's desires. That's another topic this chapter. The seraphims start going out as well. They're brought up by the CP0. So that's nice. And of course, you also got to see Lucci's awakening. He's also awakened himself. He's awakened his cat powers. All in all, very, very hyped chapter. And yeah, I mean, just hyped to see Gear 5 again. That's really why this chapter is so good. And honestly, it could have been some other chapters that could have been in here too, other than 1069. But that is my favorite chapter of the year. Next, we shall get to my fourth favorite chapter of the year. Um, and that chapter is let's see. That chapter is 10. Well, they're all starting with 10, but it's 1066. It's the Will of Ohara. Yes, dude, this chapter hit me in the feels, man. Learning that the story of Ohara and that the will lives on and that Saul is alive, right? That it wasn't just a waste, and most of all, Robin's face. I mean, you can see it right here. Robin's face, of knowing that Saul is still alive, knowing that the will is lived on, knowing that Vegapunk is passed on the knowledge, that the books have been preserved, that it wasn't all for waste, right? Um, and Robin, of course, Robin's backstory is one of the best backstories in all of One Piece. So that definitely hit me hard again to have her reminiscence of it all, and of course seeing Dragon interacting with Vegapunk at the start of the chapter was great as well. Seeing a little bit of a younger Dragon before getting that tattoo. So all in all, great chapter. This is also the first appearance of Vegapunk. This chapter 1066, we get to see both old Vegapunk and current Vegapunk. I guess current Vegapunk is old Vegapunk because he's old. Nah, but yeah, we get to see Vegapunk looking like Einstein with the Newton apple on his head. So yeah, nice chapter, and yeah, just the callback to Ohara was way too good, man. Definitely hit me in the feels. So yeah, that's my fourth favorite chapter. Now my third favorite chapter of the year is going to have to be uh it's way too high. This is way too high. It is chapter 1055. The new age, the new era is here. Shanks comes in, yo. I wasn't expecting to see Shanks, right? And Momonosuke is starting off real good with learning a little bit of you know the fish powers, right? You know, he's learned how to use the blast breath little by little. He's actually damaging. He's also, I say damaging. He's hurting a green bull a little bit. Hype as hell, and then Shanks coming in there with his Wi-Fi hockey, his 5G hockey, his hockey, sending it all the way from his ship to Green Bull. Green Bull goes, and Green Bull goes, okay, okay, sorry, I'm leaving. He peaced off, and Shanks goes, all right, you're trying to take advantage of this situation to beat these the new age, and he's like, do we scare you that much? Are they that scary to you? Look at his face, bro. Oh, I was hype as hell, super hype. And Luffy at the very end saying that he felt a familiar presence or whatever. That was also very awesome. And the fact that Luffy, the Monster Trio plus Jinbei, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, right, and Jinbei, they're sitting there, they're waiting to gang up on Green Bull. They were just like, alright, let's let Momo and Yamato handle it, because if they can, they should be able to prove themselves. They should be able to show that they can protect their own country. So they were just chilling. They were ready, bro. Shanks didn't even need to show up. They were ready, like, alright, if Green Bull really messes with Yamato and Momo, alright, we'll help him out. We'll help him out. So yeah, that did end up with Yamato's decision to stay in Wano, and the whole Green Bull stuff. I think that might have helped in that decision. But yeah, it was so epic to just see Luffy's sort of Sanji at the end going, alright, guess they handled it on their own. Cool. They didn't need our help. And what's so amazing about that as well is that up until now, admirals have always been such a major threat to the Straw Hats. Every single time the Straw Hats have met an admiral, their journey almost ended, right? They first met Aokiji, and if Aokiji wasn't so forgiving and he wasn't so lazy and he's like, I'm just going on a vacation or whatever, the strat would have been done right then and there, right? Aokiji easily soloed the entire crew all the way back in the Long Ring Longland. He was destroying them, right? Just before Water 7. But that encounter with Aokiji also helped Luffy understand that he needed to get stronger for his crew, right? Because the admirals are still way too strong. But then they met the admiral again, Kizaru, in Sabaody, and they still got wrecked, right? With the pacifistas and Sentomaru, and then your boy Kizaru came in, and they could not hang with Kizaru, right? Rayleigh had to come in and help them out a little bit, and Kuma saved them, of course, but they could not hang with Kizaru. So every time, even in Marineford, Luffy couldn't hang with Kainu, not even Ace could. They can hang with these admirals, right? And Sengoku is the fleet admiral at the time, right? But now, to see them have become so powerful that they're not scared of Green Bull no more. They're not scared of these admirals no more, right? They even met the admiral in Dressrosa, and even Dressrosa, Luffy had to run away from Fujitora and stuff. So to see Luffy and Zoro and Sanji and Jinbei so strong at this point that they're actually not so terrified by an admiral to the point of actually giving him giving him that the clout to actually chase him out is so that was so powerful to me. And of course, uh, you know, the fact that Green Bull thinks he could have taken them down, especially considering that both Kid and Law were still in the island. Uh, just because Kaido's gone, right? He can come in and do stuff. But yeah, nah. Shanks saying that does the New Year fighting that much. What a great chapter. Of course, that's not the only thing that happened that chapter. We did also have the poneglyph being explained by the Pluton and the poneglyph, the world poneglyph being shown by Sukiyaki and Pluton and that. So that was another element of the chapter. And we also got to see some more Law and Robin interaction this chapter. So for anyone that's a fan of that, you got that too. All right. My second favorite chapter of the year is the, there were many of these sorts of chapters, but I chose this one because this one was I don't know, this one was just the most important one for me, and that is chapter where is it? Here we go, 1058. 1058, man. We got to see the bounties of the crew, yo. I mean, and we also got the new meme started with Sanji being number 4, right? Because he has a lower bounty than both Zoro and Jinbei. Uh, Luffy finally declared an emperor and all. and oh man, Luffy declared an emperor, and him having all of his commanders, right? Robin's bounty increasing a huge amount to almost 1 billion. Now we have 3 Straw Hats at over 1 billion bounty with Zoro, Jinbei, and Luffy and Sanji. Uh, so very cool. We also got a little bit of the cross skill stuff happening, right? We got to meet some of the old Baroque works and and Elvida. We got to see Elvida and some of the old Buggy crew and Baroque works. That's Bones was in there. Galdino was there, or Mr. Three if you don't know who Galdino is. Uh, the Moji and the lion, all right, Richie. They're there too. Kabaji was there, so nice to see some old classic characters again. And the crocodile, Mihawk, and Buggy dynamic is way too cool. And of course, seeing their bounties as well was awesome. Seeing Mihawk's bounty, Crocodile's bounty, which got a massive increase. He's almost at 2 billion, and Mihawk being at 3.5, 3.6 billion, and Buggy having an even higher bounty than Luffy, Law, and Kid, who are 3 billion. He has a bounty of like 3.1 billion. So that was nice. And yeah, that was a good chapter, and it ended off with a little bit of a peek at the Revolutionary Army, Kuma, Sabo. So great chapter. I love me some bounty chapters, and bounty increase chapters are always super happy. So yeah, now my number one. Right, we all know what it is, though. We all know what the number one chapter of the year is. Is there even any doubt? You know what I mean? Is there even any need to I mean explain? I mean it's chapter 1044, right? I mean this is straight up one of the best chapters in the entire manga. Honestly, this chapter was so good. I I wanted to put 1045 and even 1043 on this list. The reason why I didn't is because I wanted to vary it up a little bit, right? Because 1069 was nice. Realistically, probably instead of 1069, I should have had 1045 here, or maybe 1043. But just the Will of O'Hara, the new era, and the bounties, I feel like I needed to put a showcase to those chapters too. So that's why they're in my top 5. But 1044 remains the best chapter of the year, with no doubt about it, right? Zunisha coming in. Joy Boy is here. I mean, that was the previous. That was 1043 technically. Joy Boy is here. He's like the jumps of liberation started. The jumps of liberation started. Everyone's looking up. What the hell's going on with Straw Hat? The girls here are like, zones have a world of their own, right? They reveal that thing, and they reveal the devil fruit that Shanks stole. It's not the Gum Gum. It's not Gomu Gomu. It is the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika. So Luffy's got the Nika fruit, the Sun God, and he's going ham. It's the most ridiculous fruit in the world, and Luffy goes ham. Luffy goes ham. Gear 5th, baby. Gear 5th. Luffy comes in, grabs Kaido, bonks him up. Bang, 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 bang. He's like, alright, time to get this battle started for real this time. And eyes are popping out. Everyone is surprised. Luffy is bending the the environment around him at will. Kaido's shocked. What's going on? This guy's got a power up. Super hype. And to not leave this part of the chapter out, even though it is the part that people care the least about, we also had the declaration from Hiyori that, all right, that's it for you, Orochi, right? She's facing off against Orochi, and she goes on to try and finish Orochi. So that was nice. That was a good portion of the chapter too. Even though Denjiro appears later on eventually. Denjiro's kind of weird this arc. But yeah, 1044, Sun God Nika, Gear 5. It's too good. Way too good. So yeah, that those were my top 5 chapters of the year, and they're ranked like this. Now, 1045 could argue. I mean, I can put 1045 right there, right now if I wanted to. Y'all know 1045 is S tier already, but fine. I'll leave it. I'll leave it down here for now. We'll rank them chronologically from here on. So yeah, starting off with chapter 1036. Now we're gonna just rank them really quickly. We're not gonna spend too much time talking about the actual chapters because I didn't plan this video to be super long. So 1036, we got to see a little bit of the ending of the Zoro and King fight, and then we had a great the great Usopp speech of Wano, where he's contrasting the samurai code. Um, we got to see a little more of the rise of Fukurokuju fight and the number. We got to see the numbers and Izo coming out. And yeah, that's basically it. Not much happened this chapter though. The Usopp speech was the best part about this chapter, maybe, but even then, eh, kind of a chapter. So I'm actually gonna put it in D tier. I know what a massive difference, but yeah, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. So 1036, I'm gonna put it in D tier. Then we have 1037. This is the chapter where Kaido starts getting real drunk during the fight. We got to see a lot of the fight go on, and the fight was actually very exciting. Um, and then at the very end of the chapters, after Luffy and Kaido are fighting, the Gorosei reveal this um the special fruit of Luffy's, right? And the fact that, well, at the time we didn't know it was they were talking about Luffy's. At the time there were all sorts of theories going on. What fruit are they talking about? But we know now that they're talking about Luffy's fruit, and that they gave the Nika fruit a specific name, and that they don't know, how why the world government decided to give the Nika fruit a different name. Uh, and Zunisha's popping out, and they also wanted to eliminate Robin. So yeah, hype chapter to seeing Luffy fighting Kaido. For that, I'll give it a C tier. I'll give it a C tier. It wasn't amazing, but nice to see Luffy and Kaido clashing. Great Luffy Kaido clash. So next we have chapter 1038, which continues the Luffy Kaido fight. We also had the Big Mom and versus Law and Kid fight happening in that chapter. Um, um, let's see. Da, 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 da. Right, yeah. So you had the continuation of that. Zoro and the Grim Reaper started happening in this chapter. We got to see a little more of Izo and Yamato with the bombs. And yeah, in general, the biggest stuff was just the continuation of the Law and Kid versus Big Mom fight. So seeing both of their awakenings go off, right? Uh, Law using K-Room was super hype and actually damaging Big Mom. And seeing Kid and Law's attacks actually being effective was great. So yeah, decent chapter overall, but nothing too impressive. This is also gonna go in C tier for me. Um, all right, next we have chapter 1039. So 1039 is the Your Era is Over chapter. This is where they finally beat Big Mom, um, and they fully show off their awakenings. Right, Law and Kid finally show off their awakenings against Big Mom, fully to their full potential. They go ham. They take her down, and Law declares that the old era is over. And I love that so much. So their teamwork was great. Very hyped. This chapter is gonna go in A tier for me. Um, yeah. Next we have chapter 1040. 1040. Of course, we had the aftermath of the Kid and Law fight. And we got to see Yamato dealing with the bombs of the. I say aftermath. Technically, the fight wasn't over in 1039, but it felt like it was over. It felt like, all right, they got it on lockdown. Yamato was with the bombs. The bombs exploded, took care of Big Mom. Big Mom gave her speech at the very end about Roger and Roger being a nuisance and these pirates being a nuisance. This is when the chapter. This is the chapter officially announced Big Mom's defeat. Um, and yeah, at the very end, we got a little bit of a Yamato and Momonosuke talk about Zunisha and the and Zunisha and Joy Boy stuff. So kind of interesting. Big Mom's speech was nice. She declared that she's not dead yet, even though we haven't seen her since. Well, I'll give it a B tier. All right. Next, we have chapter 1041. this chapter. First, I want to talk about the cover story of this chapter, because the cover story of this chapter is punching Niji and Yonji. Really funny, and her fist is very cartoony, and that's great. So I do I do want to mention that. Um, More Orochi and Komurasaki stuff. Izo shooting the CP0 but also getting shot, which I believe spelled the death of Izo this chapter, even though it wasn't clear at the time. Now we know Izo did die here along with the CP0 guy. Um, and then the CP0 guy, angry at that defeat, um, was then aiming to go um, is then aiming to go to the rooftop to stop Luffy, right? To stop Luffy and Kaido, right? Because he doesn't want Luffy to win against Kaido. Luffy and Kaido's fight continues, and Kaido notices that Big Mom has been defeated. So, alright, chapter. Fukurokuju as well was in this chapter with Raizo, but I don't really care about that fight. Nice punch at the beginning from Pudding. Other than that, alright, chapter. I'm gonna put it in C tier. Nothing too amazing, but not horribly bad either. Chapter 1042. X-Drake shows up to deal with CP0, but the CP0 dude, his name was Guernica, right? I think they officially gave his name Guernica, but I'm not 100% sure. Manages to get Soru and Shigan on X-Drake, so that was kind of that effort kind of went done by X-Drake, but maybe he shaved them off a little bit. Karo also revealing his tsundere side. Stop it! Which is great, and he's also replicating Luffy's attacks, um, which is interesting to see that dynamic of Luffy copying Karo's attacks, but this time Karo is also copying Luffy's attacks, and their fight continues, which is pretty hype. And at the very very end, the massive balls on Guernica, I believe his name is Guernica, to interfere with the fight between Luffy and Kaido, and have Luffy quote unquote defeated. So yeah, a lot of fighting going on this chapter. I'm gonna give this chapter a B or a C. I'm gonna give B tier. The face of Kaido when he sees that his opponent has been defeated was crazy to me. And it um, definitely impacted me a lot when I first saw that face of just his sadness of not being able to get a proper fight. Chapter 1043 is an obvious S tier to me. I don't think y'all know this, right? The jumps of liberation. Alright, Guernica's efforts did not matter because the jump started acting up. Zunisha goes, and I can't wait to hear that animated. All right, not hear the music. Sorry, the actual drums going up in the anime and seeing the animation and seeing Luffy turn all gloopy. Uh, and another highlight of the chapter is Nami announcing that there's no way Luffy will be defeated. I thought that was a great part of it. The Straw Hats still believed that Luffy wouldn't go down, and he didn't. So yeah, they always had faith in Luffy. We also had a great Yamato Momonosuke moment. And and Yamato saying that she won't give up on the country, she won't yield, was great. And then Zunisha announcing Joy Boy, way too good. So that's going in S tier for sure. Next, we have chapter 1044, which we've already ranked as S tier. So, and not only S tier, but the best chapter of the year. 1045 is another S tier chapter. Absolutely. Nika mode goes off. Luffy's just playing with Kaido almost. He's inflating himself. He's using him as a jump rope, which is so funny to me. He's going giant mode, flinging around. Very cartoony. I love it so much. The eyes are popping out. Everyone's eyes are popping out. It's so good. There's even a scene where he goes old mode. He gets very tired, but he gets back. He gets his heart pumping again. Uh, and it's such a fun fight. His punch even goes through them. I mean, it's great. It's a great chapter. Great chapter. Gear 5, Nika goes in. Next, we have chapter 1046. This chapter was the chapter where Raizo and Jinbei have to flush the castle because it was burning big time and it was rough. So they worked together to get water everywhere and flush the castle as much as possible. And at the very end, Luffy's going using his lightning bolt to you know show that he can grab lightning. His Nika powers go as far as being capable of grabbing lightning. And as hype as that is, that was basically the best part of the chapter. The actual flush of the castle, while necessary, wasn't that big to me. You know what I mean? So I'm actually gonna have to give this a D tier. I'm actually gonna this D tier because Luffy grabbing the lightning ball was the best part of the chapter, most hype part about it. So yeah, another D tier there, unfortunately. Next, we have chapter 1047. Whew, okay, I've been talking a lot here. Alright, so the Luffy Kaido fight continues. Luffy's still in his Nika mode, super hype, and the people in the Flower Capital still super ignorant about what's actually happening. Um, the island is in danger, and Luffy announces a huge punch at the very end of the chapter. So yeah, the big punch at the very end of the chapter. Um, I think I'm gonna give this one either a B or a C tier. I'm not too sure which. I think I'll give it a C tier. I think, right? But the Gear 5 fighting was hype as hell though, even though we had gotten it for a while. Um, but I can't. I don't know. I don't know if it warrants a B tier though. Am I being too harsh in the chapter? Am I being too harsh in the chapter? I don't think I am. I think it's fine. The seeing the big punch for the first time was really cool though. But I don't know if I can give it a B tier alone just for that. So I think I'm gonna keep it a C tier there. Maybe you can move it later. So chapter 1048. Luffy's still going on with his punch. Kaido announces his Flame Dragon mode, his Flame Dragon form. Then we get to see a little bit of the way of interaction between Orochi and Kaido many years ago, and how they treated Wano. And Denjiro comes in to save Hiyori from from Orochi out of nowhere. Really a hype moment from Denjiro. But yeah, that alone doesn't carry it that much. I'm still gonna have to get it on C tier as well. I mean, a lot of C tiers here I can see, and both 1047 and 1048 are good. But Denjiro, I still don't understand why he was absent for so long during the arc. I would have liked to see some panels of him running towards Hiyori or something. I don't know, but and the flaming red dragon was cool, so that part of it at least gets it up to a C tier instead of a D tier for me. So yeah, nothing super impressive here. Kind of weird, isn't it? 1044 S tier, 1045 S tier, and then we have 1046 D tier, 1047 C tier. So it kind of weird, isn't it? How the chapters kind of went down in my rankings, but 1044 and 1045 were really that good. Um, okay, next we have chapter 1049. Whew, hopefully my breath can survive today. This is the chapter with Kaido's backstory. Now, there's actually a lot of people that hate this or really don't like this backstory from Kaido, but I actually liked it. I can see people's complaints and I get it, right? I get it. People don't like that Kaido's backstory was expanded upon. People don't like that it's necessary. People didn't feel like Okay, because the argument is that I'm sure they'll expand more in during the Rocks flashback once we get that, which is true. But people still wanted more from Kaido and in his backstory and why he is the way that he is. But I personally kind of liked it. And Luffy delivering the big punch on Kaido was super cool. So for me, this chapter is actually a B tier. Although that might be a controversial take because I know people hated this chapter when it came out, but I was actually a fan. If you guys actually go to my chapter reaction, I'm sure I said that I was a fan. I don't know. Again, I don't remember. Now you have to remember there is a chance that my reaction and what I said during the reaction differs from what I say now because what I say now is after time of thinking about it, right? And actually reviewing the chapters and thinking, okay, what was great about this chapter and what I loved about it and I've had time to think about the chapter and the events of the story and maybe some chapters have been elevated because of that and maybe some other chapters I have not liked as much than when I did when I first read them because of that. Um, and yeah, chapter 1050, the official victory is set out. Yamato grabs Luffy. Everyone in Wano is happy. The flower capital, they're all celebrating because of it's because of the festival. Super hype. Yamato also stops the remainder of the Animal Kingdom pirates from fighting back. She's like, you want to keep going? Fight me. She or he, by the way. I'm sorry, they. Sorry, I'm not here to get into any Yamato gender wars. If I ever if you ever, whatever. All right. But yeah, and the volcano erupts, it goes off, and Momonosuke comes into the flower capital and is about to announce himself as the new shogun of Wano. Denjiro comes in to show him off to everybody. So yeah, decent chapter. I would give it a B tier. Just because it basically officially told us that Wano's ending here. All right, Wano's gonna end. All right. Um, Next chapter, 1051. Scabbards come out. Momonosuke's uh Yamato. Okay, this is the start of the Yamato stuff because Yamato goes all like, "All right, I wanna sail. I'm gonna join the Straw Hats," and she does says this for multiple chapters and then doesn't end up joining in the end. So this is the start of that thread. Um, and Momo also shows off his adult form. That was so cool. Um, Nami. Another thing I want to really point at this chapter is the Nami and Tama relationship going on here because we know how much Nami loves children and how much he cares for Tama and Tama getting feeling that care from Nami was great. And of course, Momo's adult form coming now. He's uh he's officially telling everybody, "All right, I'm leading Wano now. That's it. I'm the leader," and that was extremely hype. So for me, this chapter is an A tier, actually though. So seeing Momo finally his adult form, finally, you know, getting the balls to come out and go, "All right, I'm leading you all now," and yeah, it was great. Next, we have chapter 1052. This is a chapter where Hawkins, quote unquote, died. He reveals that he was the 1% man all along, even though the anime fakes revealed it. But yeah, Hawkins died here. He was the 1% man. He was talking with X Drake, which we don't know what's happened with X Drake since this happened, but we still know where X Drake currently is. They revealed this chapter that Ashura, Doji, and Izo did die, even though both of those deaths were unclear during the actual chapters. But at the same time, um, you had your Kinemon or your Kiku, which were a lot more vague than well, a lot more clear in many ways than Ashura Doji's and Izu's death, but they didn't die. So kind of hard to tell death sometimes with One Piece. Definitely one of the big criticisms about it. We also had the whole bath scene, which caused controversy regarding Yamato and stuff. Apu comes in as well to reveal the newspapers to Kid in Law, and Green Bull at the very end shows up. This is the start of the Green Bull getting wrecked. This chapter was alright. I'm actually gonna be a B tier though. I'm actually gonna be a B tier. I liked it. I liked it. Controversial chapter for multiple reasons, right? The Ashura Doji and Izo stuff, but also the Yamato Bath scene stuff. But I still liked it. And I think it's a B tier. Hawkins' death was cool, and seeing the little small impact the war had on the scabbards was nice. So yeah. Um, and the bounties at the very end. Well, not the, it wasn't officially revealed yet, but you know, Green Bull coming in at the very end. That was exciting at the time, and Apu coming in with the newspapers as always. You know, that's there. Definitely an argument for this chapter being C tier though, but you know, fair enough. Next is chapter 1053. This is the Cross Guild chapter. We get to see the bounties revealed for Luffy, Kid, and Law. Super hype. The festival is ongoing. Everyone is happy. We get the reveal of Sukiyaki. We get the reveal of Pluton being in Wano. Green Bull going at it at against King and Queen. This chapter had it all. We also get to see the reveal of the new four emperors. I mean, this chapter is S tier. This chapter is S tier. This is a goated chapter. This was one of the chapters I was debating putting in the top 5 even, but I didn't. So, absolutely S tier chapter. I had no doubt in my mind that it is. So yeah, Green Bull makes his first official appearance. Um, so there you go. All right, chapter 1054. This is the Flame Emperor Sabo chapter. So, Green Bull continues on attacking the scabbards. Yamato also comes in and interferes. Momo's there too. They're all fighting off. Shanks gets to see how much Luffy's grown in Luffy's bounty, and then reminisces about how he took the devil fruit from Who's Who at the time, how he stole his arm, and he also announces that he's going to claim the One Piece. We also have the newspaper announcement that Sabo apparently assassinated Cobra and that Vivi is missing, uh, which is all really cool. And the announcement of the Flame Emperor Sabo. I think this chapter is A tier. Almost S tier, by the way, almost S tier, but just not quite S tier, but almost. So yeah, but still a great chapter. Next, we have chapter 1056. We already ranked 1055. That was my third favorite chapter of the year, obviously. Does the new era frighten you that much? So this is a chapter we get to see the cross guild some more, right? We get to see Kinemon reuniting with his wife, which is just no, sorry. Uh yeah, no, yeah, this is the chapter where we see the whole Kinemon and you know, Tsuru stuff. Good to see them together, even though we could have had an argument. That was one of the good parts of Kinemon surviving, I guess. Kara being announced as the new king of or queen, whatever. Weird translation, but whatever. New king, queen, whatever of the. I mean, she's a girl, so I would have thought she would be queen, but in the official translations they say she's a king. So whatever. King of the Mokumo Dukedom of the Minx. I thought this was extremely hype because I never wanted Carrot to join the Straw Hats. Now, Carrot fans actually hated this because they wanted Carrot to be one of the Straw Hats. I never did. So, for her to be the new ruler, king, queen, whatever, of the Minx, I thought was great. So, I thought that was a great moment in the chapter. Shinobu. Shinobu has her glow up as well because, of course, right after getting got by a Green Bull and healing up, she turns into a hot woman and Sanji's going off. Of course, Caribou learns about Pluton being in Wano. Momonosuke is so confused at where the Straw Hats are at. Um, Luffy, Kid, and Law decide the destinations. Some funny sequences between them. Some funny arguing going on between them. Law also showing off a little bit more about you know the geography of One Piece that we've seen before. But traveling northwest is the quickest way going to go through the new world. But it's because you know the One Piece world is not centered in the sense the axes are not centered, right? They're a bit on the Grand Line is a bit on the left axis. So going northwest basically is going directly through the Grand Line in the New World, and then we get to see the cross kill with Buggy and Mihawk and Crocodile at the time. That was so funny, so great. Buggy as their leader, absolutely awesome. Um, so yeah, and the worst part of the chapter for me was just Yamato saying that she's gonna go and live like Odin and she's just gonna, join the Strat, but then ending up not actually doing so. But I'm not gonna let that deviate from the fact that this chapter is absolutely an A-tier chapter. Not quite as good as 1054, of course, not as good, but I still very, very much like this chapter. Next, we have chapter 1057. This is the Kurozumi were born to boil chapter. Um, but, another element of this chapter was Luffy claiming one as his own and setting up the flag with Momo, which was great. And they all sail off. Funny moment where they all are jumping off and going off. And then, yeah, Kurozumi was born to boil, and Wano officially ends this chapter. So, yeah, chapter. I'll give it a C tier. Some fun moment, some fun dynamics between the Straw Hats and between Luffy, Kid Law, but also between Luffy and Momonosuke. And Luffy claiming one was great. One officially ending felt good at the time. Yamato explaining why she wanted to stay in Wano this chapter, but again, I'm still not a bit, still not a big fan of the way that happened. To this day, I'm not. But yeah, all right, chapter, all right. I mean, it's an acceptable chapter. Kurozumi Born to Burn didn't impact me personally that much, so there you go. Now, next you have chapter 1059, because 1058 was, of course, my second favorite chapter of the year. Chapter 1059 was the Seraphim chapter. Now, this chapter, not just the Seraphim. This chapter to me was in contention of being a top 5 chapter of the year. So, of course, it's an S tier chapter, by the way. S tier chapter. We had the Seraphim come in. The first reveal of the Seraphim, we saw baby Boa Hancock. They were going in. I saw my girl Marguerite. Whenever people talk about this chapter or whenever people talk about this incident, they forget to talk about Marguerite. I love Marguerite. She was in the chapter, even if it's just a single panel. She was there. Blackbeard comes in. I don't know. I wasn't expecting Blackbeard to come in. He attacks the Amazon Lily. Along with some of his crew members. I don't exactly remember who they were. I believe Katarina Devon was in there, and some guy that had some guy that, to put it mildly, wanted to sexually assault Boa Hancock. Of course, it didn't work out because Boa Hancock's outfit is really, really strong. She had both a lot of Blackbeard's crew and the Marines stone. Blackbeard was like, alright, their noble sacrifice, I'm gonna kill her and take her devil fruit, except Rady comes in and stops it all from happening. And we get the revelation that Shaki was a previous captain of the Kuja pirates. She was a previous leader of the of Amazon Lily, of the women in Amazon Lily of the Kuja. We get the reveal that Kobe's missing and was kidnapped by Blackbeard, which obviously later on eventually sent Garp to try and save him, which we haven't seen the result of that yet, but that's gonna be hype. Garp with Helmeppo in them, that's gonna be great. And one of the best panels from last year as well is in this chapter, the panel where Blackbeard is holding up Boa Hancock with his powers, fruit powers. Boa Hancock is and Kobe down on the bottom of the panel, staring up at all of it happening. Fantastic panel, and later on as well, seeing Luffy in the background. Right, Boa Hancock is such a Luffy fanboy. She even put Luffy in the background as like a wallpaper thing. So that was great. S tier chapter, absolutely an S tier chapter. Next we have chapter 1060. This is another S tier chapter. This chapter was amazing, right? We had, this is the infamous Emu chapter where Emu blew up. blew up Luja, and with Sabo in it. We still don't know what's going on with Sabo, if Sabo is alive or not, from this incident, but hopefully he is. You know, we haven't seen a body. No body, means no death. You know, we know how deaths work in One Piece. Bonnie being revealed at the very, very end was also shocking. I did not see that happening, right? So I guess, showing off that that's the next warlord that the Stars are going to be dealing with. Hopefully get to see more Rouge soon, because I want to know what's going on with Rouge and him being a Skylander and that. That's going to be hype. I want to see Rouge and NL come back at the same time. That would be crazy. So yeah. But of course, another big part of the chapter that I haven't talked about yet is Luffy telling his crew about his dream, even though that's not revealed to us. The entire crew is shocked, but they're all laughing and happy about it. Um, and my favorite part of the crew's reaction is seeing Nami's face when she says, "It sure it sounds like you. It sounds like your dream. Yeah, it makes sense that it's you." Yeah, Luffy announcing his dream and Nami making that face. I thought it was great. So that's another great part of the chapter. So even if you don't get Luffy's dream revealed to us, I really wish we did. All right, the next chapter is the official start of Egghead Island, and I remember when this chapter came out how hyped I was because we got to see Vegapunk for the first time, and at the time I thought that was the actual Vegapunk. Now, other people quickly realized that that wasn't the actual Vegapunk. That there might be some, that probably just a Vegapunk copy or a Vegapunk program that he made that of himself. So people were very assertive about that. So it was clever from them. But yeah, we also got to see some fan service with both Doll being introduced, and people really like Goth Girl Doll, but also the fan service with Bonnie twice, and Vegapunk at the very end being introduced. Now, this chapter, if you had asked me when it came out, I would have put it S tier absolutely, but I think I'm gonna put it in A tier just because of what I know now, and that's what I mean. Once I let this chapter simmer down, and just go back and think about it, Vegapunk, the fact that it's just Lilith and not the actual Vegapunk, that hasn't affected me the same way, to be honest. But it's still A tier. It's still a great chapter. So many good parts about this chapter to like. So still an A tier chapter, absolutely. All right, next chapter we have chapter 1062. Um, Here we get to see more of the punks come out, right? Vegapunk actually seeing both Robin and Zoro as threats right there because they're ready to go. Uh, we get to see both Shaka. Well, we don't get to see Shaka. We get to hear Shaka, or have him as a character first introduced here, and we get to see what's her name again? Atlas introduced as well through Luffy's group. We get the revelation that Kuma is Bonnie's father in this chapter, and we get to see a lot of the sciencey stuff going on. Very wacky, very fun. Luffy, and Bonnie, or at least this group of Strats and Bonnie bonding really quickly. Ha, Bonnie bonding, Bonnie bonding. They're bonding very quickly. They're having a good time, and that's nice to see. So the start of Bonnie hopefully becoming an ally, and seeing all the science gimmicks going on and working was very fun. And at the very end, seeing the CP0 come in loomed that little danger that okay, you're getting Lucci, Kaku, and Stassi returning. Okay, that was super interesting. So yeah, and Kuma, or at least the Seraphim Kuma being with them at the very end was kind of learned because they also revealed that they were planning to assassinate Vegapunk. So this chapter, to me, I think is going to be a B tier, decent chapter. Um, Nothing too spectacular. The science gimmicks were fun. Kuma being reviewed to be honest, that was great. So yeah, B tier chapter, good chapter. Next, hopefully we're almost done with this. All right, this deal went faster. Well, I say faster, but it went as fast as I expected it to go. Um, which is good. I didn't want to spend too much time explaining the entire tier list. So, chapter 1063, right? We get to see some more bonding with Luffy and Bonnie, and or Shards and Bonnie and the rest. We also get to see these last past couple of chapters, including this chapter as well. We get to see Jinbei finally incorporating himself with the crew and him working with the crew, which is nice. We get to see their new outfits coming in, right? Luffy, Bonnie, Chopper, and Jinbei, they get new outfits. But the Pacifista comes in looking like He attacks. Luffy's about to defend him, but Bonnie stops because she's crying over her dad, and that is that was sad. But the hypest part about this chapter is the revelation that currently uh, Blackbeard and Law are fighting. Blackbeard and Law are fighting big time. They're going at it, and we get to see female Law, which is again, I mean, we it's official. Female Law is official. So I know Law has a lot of female fans for a lot of female One Piece fans are fans of Law. Now you can officially cosplay as Law, right? You can officially cosplay female Law because she's canon. There you go. And seeing all the commanders of the Blackbeard pirates fight against Law and his crew. See Law's crew, not you know, and that's next chapter. Sorry, next chapter you get to see Law's crew actually showing off. Law also revealing that Hawkeye can block off Devil Fruit, which is something that we've kind of thought about for a while before them, but it wasn't officially stated until Law was like, "All right," he revealed it that okay, strong enough Hawkeye can block Devil Fruit effects like Doku's effect of swapping everyone's gender in Law's crew. Um, Stronger and Doku getting beaten used up by Blackbeard. Blackbeard coming in to fight Law. They're both settling. They're both announcing a little war between each other. All right, let's fight and let's take each other's poneglyphs. Let's take each other. Whoever wins, here we go. Bang bang bang. This chapter is an S tier for me. I don't think that's a surprising thing. And honestly, chapter 1064 follows that as well for being an S tier. Both of these chapters are S tier. Um, in the cover story, the way the cover story is also incorporated into the chapter where we see Pudding being kidnapped by Aokiji and Van Augur. So Aokiji, quite possibly the 10th commander of the Blackbeard crew. Aokiji, seeing Aokiji was hyped. This chapter was great because you get to see Law's Awakening again. He's using K room, he's using R room. He's fighting Blackbeard. They're going toe to toe almost, but it does seem like Blackbeard might have the upper hand eventually. Law's crew showing up that they're not actually useless like everyone thought they were, even though I love the meme that Law is 99% of the crew. Law without his crew, 99%. Law with his crew, 100%. I love that meme so much. But yeah, Law going at Blackbeard, actually doing some good damage. But and Pudding also saying that her mother is alive and she's gonna come help her and all that stuff because she's been nabbed. So again, the way the cover story is incorporated into the actual chapter was well done by Oda. Um, and then we get to see old Luffy, old Chopper, and young Jinbei, old Luffy, age 70. It was very funny. And Otis revealing these weird, new other possibilities. Um, and that was great. We also get to see the new outfits for the Straw Hats and for the rest of the Straw Hats, and the revelation that Vegapunk and Dragon have a clear connection, probably friends in some sort of way or companions in some sort of way. So that was great. But yeah, it does seem like Blackbeard is about to get the upper hand of Law because he's using his darkness powers now. So we'll see. We haven't seen the aftermath of that fight yet. But yeah, S tier chapter. Chapter 1065. Whew. All right, we're almost done. So, chapter 1065, we had the Straw Hats fighting off against Seraphim Jinbei. Them being surprised at what the hell is a dark skinned Jinbei doing now here. Even he's already dark skinned because he's a fishman, right? Why is he even more dark skinned? So they get their first class with the Seraphim. Turns out that Vegapunk was just testing their abilities and all that stuff, and they're doing their own testing. We get to see all the Vegapunks announced. Right? We get to see Fatty, York, Eat, Sleep, Pooing. That's their entire cycle. You get to see Edison and Pythagoras and more Lilith too. So all the strides, and at the very end, Shaka reveals himself with the drip. He's dripping out, and some weird robot thing from 900 years ago. From 900 years ago. So the Vegapunk revealing that One Piece could very well be a post-apocalyptic world, right? They had a lot better technology 900 years ago than they do today, and the world government is hiding all that. So that was a big revelation, and for that alone and all that, and the rest of the chapter, I think this goes in A tier. I think it's an A tier chapter. All right, then we have 1067. Because 1066 was my fourth favorite chapter of the year. That was the Ohara chapter. So 1067, Vegapunk reveals how his mind works with the other Vegapunks, even though it's still a little unclear to me personally. But he reveals that how that works. He's connected with the other 6 Vegapunks that he made them. He split off his brain and made them, and he also plans to make the entire world a huge internet. Basically, he's planning to make an internet. Yeah, Bonnie's trying to get at Vegapunk, but gets taken down by some bugs, right, by some bugs, so she's down for the count for a while from there on, and Vegapunk also announcing that he wants to get away from Egghead. He wants to get off from Egghead with Luffy, because he knows he's aware that they're trying to assassinate him, and following that, you clearly see CP0 coming in. They want access to Egghead, so yeah, smells like trouble for Vegapunk. So that's lucky for him. Luffy came by. Luffy's his friend's son, so works for him, and he's really strong. He's an emperor now, so not a bad person to seek help with when the world government is trying to kill you, assassinate you. And then at the very end of the chapter, Kimo goes running off. This chapter, pretty all right. I'm thinking of it either being a B or a C tier. Personally, I think I'm gonna be the C tier though. Um, Nothing too impressive in my opinion, but yeah, Vegapunk revealing his internet uh internet philosophy, internet hope. Continuing on from that hope, next chapter, he plans to make the entire world like that, right? So he continues making his speech about that. CP0 coming in. Kuma uses his own devil fruit on himself to send himself flying off to the red line. We know now he's traveling to the red line, so he did that. He wants to make Vegapunk aims to make energy available for all, because back in the day they had this uh they had this power, this single up power, this sum power that could provide energy for a lot of things, and he wants to make a power like that, energy like that today. And he feels like by connecting everybody, his dream can come easier. So that's his dream. He has his own dream going on, and of course, this started the whole theory that Vegapunk might be a new Straw Hat. I'm not necessarily sure about that, but people say, oh, he's got a dream, so he's a Straw Hat clearly. But then you gotta ask yourself, does Jinbei really have a big defined dream like the rest of the Straw Hats do? Sure, you could say it's to have the fishmen live equally with the humans, but that's not like it's not the specific dream that he's ever given us specifically like that. But yeah, I mean, but I mean, yeah, typically the Straw Hats do have dreams and all that. So yeah, um, CP0 are storming in. They destroy the ships. They did not care at all whatsoever, and Vegapunk just left the Straw to deal with the CP0 and was like, "Alright, come up there, come up there real quick. Try to avoid the CP0." And yeah, some funny moments between Stussy and Kaku. Stussy letting Kaku get blown up in the Frontier Dome. But so Stussy has a lot of knowledge about uh Stussy has a lot of knowledge about Egghead, suspiciously enough. we learn later why she might have a lot of knowledge. At least we don't fully know what's going on with Stussy right now. But this recent chapter has been kind of wild. But not only that, um, not only did we get that, but we also we also know why Stussy might have just let Kaku get blown up by that and will not reveal anything. And yeah, at the very end of the chapter, Lucci takes down one of the Vegapunks, Atlas, and this, of course, marks the fight that's about to start next chapter between Lucci and Luffy. So, this chapter, to me, is a... Oh, sorry. Alright. Yeah, this chapter to me is alright. I think I'm gonna give it a B tier. I think it's a little better than previous chapter. But nothing too incredible there either. It's alright. 1016, of course, that was my favorite chapter of the year, just let me go in Nika mode. And then the last chapter of the year, official chapter of the year, 1071 came out unofficially during last year, but we don't count that because it's not official. So if I make a ranking like this next year as well, I'll be starting off with 1071. So yeah, that if I decide to make it, I don't know if I will make it or not. 1071 though, the Seraphim keep attacking. Luffy keeps going off with his Gear 5 Nika form. Vagabond gives us a little bit more information about artificial zoans and that he can make artificial zones, but also that paramecias are possible using this special blood because he's made blood bro. So that's why Boa Hancock still has her Mellow Devil fruit. He can still copy that for her using this blood that he made, but also why Jinbei had Senior Pink's fruit, because Senior Pink is caught in Nipple Down, so Vegapunk could research on him. But Logias are the one thing that he said that he said that Logias he can do Logias just yet, but there might be, who knows, he might be possible, but he didn't say it's impossible, he just hasn't been able to yet. Luffy keeps fighting Lucci, which is super hype. He also makes his own sunglasses. Super funny. Beating up Lucci, he's going to town. But then he has to leave, unfortunately, because and when he leaves, he also goes old and starts looking like Einstein himself, starts looking like Vegapunk himself. But yeah, would have been cool to see the aftermath of Luffy fighting Lucci. We know Luffy would have smashed Lucci. I mean, he was already smashing Lucci, and but yeah, then they go up to above the frontier though, to where Vegapunk is at, and the CP's finally taking control of what's down below. So they're like, all right, let's go up and stop Vegapunk from escaping the island. Kizaru, he gets a little bit of Kizaru because we know he's going into Egghead. He's like, all right, man, they think he can just escape so easily, but I'm arriving, so yeah, they're not escaping that easily. This chapter to me is an A tier. So there you go. Wow, this A, B, and C tier ended up being perfectly vertical. I did not do that on purpose, by the way. I just ranked these chapters honestly, so that's just how it ended up being. We only had 2 D tier chapters last year. Could argue for some other chapters being D tier as well. You could also argue for some of them being B tier. Depends on how you see it, though. And that's my ranking for the One Piece chapters last year. Again, I'm gonna end the video off there because I don't plan for this to go too extremely long. There you go. What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? We can discuss, or not. You do what you want. These are my top 5 ranked from best to, fifth favorite. The rest are not ranked. The rest are just ranked chronologically, as you can see, 43, 45, 53, 59. So they're ranked chronologically, but these 5 are ranked based on favorite to least favorite. So these chapters as well, they're not ranked based on best to worst. None of these are ranked based on best to worst. And those were my chapters of the year. Thank you, Library for Horror, for making this listing right here. And yeah, those are my rankings. Let me know if you enjoy One Piece as much as I did last year, because One Piece was fire last year, as you can see by the amount of S tier chapters. My S tier is by far the tier that had the most chapters on it. So yeah, but not every chapter is equally as good, right? I can't say that 1038 was as good as 1064, but it was still alright. Maybe or maybe not we'll do this next year. Who knows? I don't have any plans to make another video like this next year. If I do, I don't think I'll make any more, unless someone makes up an already prepared list like this next year as well. Because I'm not going to go through the effort of doing this, which is why I'm eternally grateful to Library of O'Hara for actually going through the effort of doing it. I think I'll just make a top 5 next year if I don't find a list like this next year. So yeah, and we can continue with that sort of thing. But let me know. Well, next year's still far ahead from now. That's a year from now. That's a whole 365 days away. So why are we thinking about it now? Let's just let this video end there. Yeah, I've been recording for how long? Over an hour? Has an hour passed? I don't know. But I tried not to. I tried not to go too deeply in explaining every single chapter and explaining why. Uh, you know, because I know I can spend a long time babbling, especially because it's One Piece. But I feel like it would be best to make this video not go on for too long. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this at least as much as I enjoyed making this and talk about this and discussing about this. If you want to keep the discussion going in the comments, you can do that. If not, I hope you enjoyed this anyway. And all right, y'all. See you guys in the next One Piece video if you're interested in that, or in whatever else you want to enjoy. All right. All right, y'all. Peace.